Hello and welcome to another episode of Last Man Standing. And let's not stand on ceremony. Let's just bring everybody in. We're going to keep on going like we were going in Stupid O'Clock. So here we go. Oh, that ain't doing nothing. There we go. Now we got peoples.
Yeah, John stepped away for a minute. Yeah,
That's all right.
I just jumped over here for a few minutes to say, thanks for you guys. I normally tell you guys thank you for, coming to the show and all that on the show, but we were trying to wrap up, so I forgot, and I apologize, but thank you
It's
for
all
that.
right. It's all right.
Not at
Don't worry
all.
And
about it at all.
yeah, I'm going to have to jump out here because I got to make a couple phone calls.
We'll definitely keep you in our thoughts and prayers, Joe.
Appreciate that.
Definitely.
All right. Y'all have a good one. I'll see y'all later. Tell John I'll talk to him soon.
All righty.
All right.
Good night, Joe.
Good night.
I was going to say, John never looked better. His color is better now, and that's his chair. Never mind.
If his face was that color, I'd swear he'd been a little bit sunburned.
Yeah, but
Just a little bit. Now, we were talking about somebody willing to go out in the woods and try and encounter an animal they thought was after one of their pets. A couple of years ago, our dogs just were going crazy, and we could tell from the way they were barking and what they were, the sound of the barks themselves. This was not just somebody's cow got loose and wandered through the yard, or a deer come up, or a raccoon or a possum or something. This was something they were really, really scared of and trying to scare off. So I got the Colt 45 and I got my little red lamp that's on a headband, and I got quietly out the back door with the lights off and everything, went out behind the shed, and I'm just looking around, and all of a sudden, about 6 pairs of eyeballs turned in my direction. I'm leaned up against a tree with one hand free and the other one having the filled with some of Moses Browning's finest designs, and I'm looking down through there, and that little red light don't put out much light, but I could see the shapes, just the outlines of things. It's a pack of coyotes in the woods behind the house, about 20 yards maybe from my back door, and I'm just leaning there against the tree, hoping the wind don't shift. They started looking around. Evidently, they had heard me, but they couldn't smell me. And then all of a sudden, they just kind of turned around and trotted off deeper into the woods. And I went on back to the house and go, well, that went rather well for me. It didn't end unfortunately. Don't know how good my aim would have been in the dark, but since I don't have any of them night vision goggles that John keeps getting offered on Facebook, that'd have been the one time when I would have really probably benefited by them. I don't know how difficult it is to wear those and actually aim a pistol, but still being able to see what you might need to shoot at is a plus in anybody's book.
yeah, when I lived in I don't know what that was. When I lived in Rockville, Indiana, or outside, we lived in a farmhouse, and we had them come up trying to bother our dogs every night. Almost, you could just about set your watch by them between 11:30 to midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd go out there with my 1963 model Mossberg bolt action 12 gauge, and I'd rifle off 1 or 2 shots in the air, and they'd be gone for the night.
Yep.
But they'd be back the next night. And I thought, okay, long as they stayed on the other side of the creek down the hill from our property, I was fine with it. Hi, Josh. And John. And it was okay. But one of our church members, and he was a deacon in our church, was also county conservation officer. And he said, Bill, if you got to get one of them, go ahead and just, bring it out to the edge of the road, and I'll make sure somebody comes by and picks it up. And I've only actually had to shoot one in my life because we had an issue with the neighbor's dog. They had 2 labs, and they let them out one night. Didn't know a little bit later than what they usually would let them out. And, I saw 8 or 10 sets of eyes across the creek, and I knew the 2 labs wouldn't hold up to that many. So when one got across the creek, I got him, and then that scared the other ones off. And then by then, the neighbors came out to see what was going on because they knew their dogs were out. But yeah, it was, there was a cornfield, an old-fashioned cemetery, and that was their way of getting over. And the neighbors had a chicken farm. They would always come smelling the chickens, but of course the chickens were up safe in the hen houses by the time they came. And so when they found out they couldn't get the chickens, they always came over to visit us.
Yep. We've got a neighbor who had at one time a little ornamental pond, and they had koi in it. They were real small at the time. Came out one morning, and all the fish were gone, and there were bear tracks all the way around the pond. I mean, I know that I'm living out in the sticks, but when you have evidence that there's a bear that is close enough to walk up in the backyard, it really gives you a little bit of different perspective on country living. Now we got coyotes that come through every once in a while. We have different deer that will come up in the backyard. Had one day we came from a LibertyCon, and there was a doe in the backyard, just kind of standing there, swaying back and forth. And I walked in the backyard and got up within about 12, 15 feet. I didn't want to get too close. And she turned and kind of staggered into the woods. She had been at the muscadine vine, and the muscadines had fermented on the vine, so she was drunk. Had a little red fox run through the backyard on the far side of the chain link fence. Went out the front door one morning, and yeah. Whoa!
Hi, Glenn.
Hello, Glenn. Yes. And what part of England are you from? My wife is from Portsmouth.
I won't say what part I'm from.
Oh no! As I was saying, went out on the front porch one morning with a cup of coffee in my hand. I was on vacation at the time. Nice spring morning, and caught some movement out of the corner of my eye. There is a pheasant, the biggest pheasant I have ever seen, running through the yard like a roadrunner. Might have been a turkey. I don't know. I didn't have it in sight that long. If it was a turkey, it was a little one. But I thought it was a pheasant. I mean, it had the long tail feathers, so you know. But the only thing I could really notice about it was it ran like the Roadrunner on the nature program. So, you know, really, really quick.
And Mr. Fleming is from North Manchester.
Okay.
Davy Jones country.
What is on? Oh, I have a cat on my feet now. It must have opened the door. I had the door closed, but these cats are smart. They're
At
about
least it
14.
wasn't a salamander.
Hey. No,
Nope.
although there has been several geckos that got in and starved to death because there's nothing for them to eat in here. I mean, they might catch the occasional fruit fly or something, but nothing else.
When I lived in Cherokee, we used to have chameleons in the woods out there.
Oh,
Now, you
wow.
want to see something hard to find, and we actually got pretty good at finding them, and we'd get them and keep them as pets until one got loose in the house, and mom would make us get rid of them. But you were talking about the baronet here recently on one of the local news channels out of Champaign. They had a thing in there of I forget which park it is. Shoot. If Carl and Donna was in here, they'd probably be able to tell me because I'm
Yeah.
sure they saw the same report. But anyway, one of the parks in Champaign, Illinois, had put up trail cams to use for different Zoom type things, that they were going to put on for people who wasn't quite ready to come out yet and stuff and come to the parks. And I guess one night they caught a bobcat climbing up into a tree on one of the trail cams. And they said that it's not uncommon for them to be, in East Central Illinois, but it was a little uncommon for them to be in urban areas such as Champaign, middle of college town.
Well, yeah. I was taking some folks back home from a college party. They were living on campus in a dorm, University of Georgia, in the middle of town. Pulled up in the parking lot of the dorm. Coyote jumps out of the Dempsey dumpster and runs across the parking lot in the middle of town. And I'm going, they're getting bold. And this was back in the mid 70s, late 70s. So I can just imagine what kind of wildlife is taking up residence in town now. And I don't mean just the barflies. I was bush hogging a field one time for my dad. This is back when I was in high school, and one of our bird dogs was sitting on the edge of the field, just not on a leash or anything. And as I'd mow it around the field, rabbits would run out. The dog would go over and pounce and get himself a rabbit. Well, turns out the dog was not the only one rabbit hunting that day. Went around a couple of more times, and here comes a red-tailed hawk off with a rabbit. And the dog just looks and goes, wish I could do that.
We were out at Kinnicott Cove County Park, and they have a little village. It's kind of a turn of the century village called Bunker Hill Village. And I went walking with my friend and my niece, and we were just walking around taking pictures in the village, and we go sit in the gazebo out there. And then across from the gazebo, there's a barn, and all these pigeons are in the parking lot. And I think somebody must have dumped popcorn or something in there.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so we're just kind of resting, and I'm kind of glancing over at the pigeons, and then I seen this shadow coming across, and then next thing you know, just red-tailed hawk just drops out of the sky. I couldn't tell you how fast he got down there, but he dropped right into the middle of those pigeons. And you never heard such a scream in your life. And pigeon feathers just blew up everywhere. And then he, of course, got one and took off with one. And thankfully, my friend and her daughter, my niece, did not see that at the time. By the time they heard the scream, they turned around and looked. They just saw some feathers and saw the pigeons flying away. And they said, "What scared the pigeons?" And I said, "You don't want to know."
Yep. Yep. One day there was I believe it was a buzzard. I don't think it was an eagle because I have yet to see any of those around here. Although they used to be up near where we lived in Knoxville, or north of Knoxville, Clinton, Tennessee. But the damn thing sitting on a fence post across the road, cattle pasture, horses, sheep, and the only thing that I noticed was that farmer's ducks and swans were making a hell of a racket and running for the other end of their pond back in the back of their farm. I'm going, okay, well, maybe somebody run over a squirrel. Don't know. As long as you stay away from a dog, everything's fine. So it stayed there for about 90 minutes or so, just sunning itself, and then took off. It's one of the things I love about living out in the sticks is you get to see a lot of stuff that if you live in the city, you wouldn't notice it because you don't have time. You're too busy worried about people stuff. But out here, you can take time to watch animals. Spent a lot of time as a kid on a swing set, swinging back and forth after school or something like that. Look up, eagles flying, just high enough to where you could just barely see them. But you knew that's what they were because there was a nest about a quarter mile away you could see from the backyard. Nothing else builds a nest like that. You knew what it was. I mean, we used to watch Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, so I was familiar with a lot of stuff that I would never encounter, but some stuff that I actually was close enough to see. Well, if you and John can hold it down for a few minutes, I will head off to the bridge. Well, yeah,
With all this,
you're grown adults. I mean, mostly adult. You're grown anyway.
Somebody else must be on this program, John. I don't know who he's talking to.
Try not to burn down the playground, all right? And don't set off any bottle rockets. The dog just went to sleep.
Oh, gotta get him a thunder shirt.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I got one of those I got to deal with this week.
Yeah, that's going to be bad. That's going to be bad.
Dan mentions Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. We used to watch that every Sunday right before The Wonderful World of Disney. And, it'd be, while Jim is down in the swamp wrestling the alligator, I am safely viewing from this perch 27 feet away, And it was always
a nice
one of those
air-conditioned, camouflaged tower with binoculars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or he's flying around in the helicopter, That was always fun. Tranquilizing an antelope while Jim's jumping off the side of the helicopter onto the antelope's back.
I loved watching Jim Fowler when he would bring the animals on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and that. And just Johnny
Kids will never understand watching Johnny Carson have an ocelot pee on his head.
Mm-hmm. or
Yes,
the
Jim
one with
Fowler
the
brought an
monkey?
ocelot onto the Tonight Show, and it crawled up on Johnny Carson's head and took a pee on live television.
Because Johnny had gray hair at the time, you knew what it was. Coming down.
Oh. So, what was you asked the question the other day, I never got to see the answers to it. What was your favorite cartoon as a kid? What was the one you always wanted to wake up for on Saturday morning?
Probably the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show.
That's a pretty good one. I don't know if that's the one I wanted to wake up for, though. Of course, it changed over the years, you know.
Yeah, that's, with me. Later it might have been Super Friends or Johnny Quest or something like that. But,
Herculoids, I remember that one. That was one I dearly loved to watch. And then when what was it? G-Force came out, which was the Japanese animation thing. I remember everybody in the neighborhood was watching that one. And then
most any Filmation cartoon, Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, because of the fluent in the movements, how Filmation did all that, whether you're watching Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, or Flash Gordon, or
Lassie's Rescue Rangers. I remember watching that one. And then Space Ghost, of course.
Space Ghost.
Herculoids. See.
You remember Emergency +4? It was.
No, I do not. I remember I think it was on CBS, was Emergency. It was a late night thing that came on around 8 or 9.
Well, the Emergency TV series, which was Jack Webb's.
Right.
You had Randy Mantooth and Kevin Tighe doing the voices of their characters in this cartoon.
Oh yeah.
But it involves some kids as well, much like Lassie's Rescue Rangers. That's why I asked you about that, because it really it was very short lived. I can't even remember how many episodes. It was one season.
Bless you, John.
Thank you. And let's see, what's some of the cartoon? All of the Sid and Marty Krofft stuff.
Oh yeah.
Pigman the Sea Monster, and Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, and Dr. Shrinker, and the original Ghostbusters.
And I don't think it was Sid and Marty Krofft, but it was Land of the Lost was something else of that period.
Wasn't that Sid and Marty Krofft?
Yeah,
that was Sid and Marty Krofft.
Well, I mean, it had the same kind of production values, but a little bit.
I'm friends
a little bit
with
better budget.
Wesley Ure and Kathy Coleman, the two kids in that, and they still go out and do conventions and stuff. And the guy, I cannot remember his name, so Wesley and Kathy, if you are watching, I apologize. But the guy who played Chaka in Land of the Lost, he's actually around and goes out on with them. And where they go, they take the big yellow blow up rubber raft with the oars, and you'll see them occasionally post pictures at a convention where they're in the rubber raft, and in the rubber raft with them is Lou Ferrigno or maybe Michael Gray, that played Billy Batson. And, so this is always one of the, like how all the celebrities wanted to be villains on the Batman TV show.
Let me see. Okay. Wesley Ure played Will Marshall. Kathy Coleman played Holly Marshall.
Yep.
And then Philip Pillay, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah.
Philip played Chaka. And then, let me see. I don't recognize any of the other names.
I'm trying to think of who played the dad, and I forget.
Oh, it was Spencer Milligan.
Okay, yeah.
And then Ron Harper played Uncle Jack after Spencer left the show.
Oddly enough, Larry Niven wrote 3 episodes for that.
I believe so.
One of them One of them was one with the Confederate soldier in the cannon. Now, the other two were probably bookends for that, or the
I
same
think
sort of
one of the
thing.
ones he wrote was where adult Holly came back and helped young Holly. It was time travel paradox kind of thing.
Yeah, sounds like something he would do, and very, very well at that. He always talks about he loved that. He loved that. They let him adapt an episode, one of his short stories for the animated Star Trek too.
Yes.
The one with
the slaver weapon.
Yep, the one with the Kazenti. Yes.
Yeah, that's another Filmation one that I always enjoyed watching.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did
once again,
that
not very
last two
many
seasons? Or was it just one? I think it was two.
No, it's two. I got them all on DVD, and I think there was 22 episodes. I want to say, I forget. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Yeah.
But,
I've got them on one of my external hard drives. I've got one that's dedicated to nothing but cartoons. You would love it because you probably already own
Walter
most of them.
Koenig wrote a couple of episodes for Land of the Lost.
Oh wow, yeah.
Apparently, he kind of copied something from Gene Roddenberry.
Did he get in trouble?
No, well, he was paying homage to Gene Roddenberry. He actually he mixed up the letters in the word Gene to be the name of the character in the story.
Oh, okay.
But somehow or another, the producers misspelled it as Enoch. Figure that one out.
Oh, I remember that character. Yes, indeed.
And then Larry Niven wrote The Circle, was what it was called.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I can just about recall. Haven't seen those in decades. Now, I had just recently rediscovered that Butch Patrick was in Lidsville. I must have known it at the time and just forgotten it.
With Charles Nelson Riley.
Yep. He was quite a bit older than Eddie Munster. So, yeah, it'd been one of those things where I was only aware of it during the credits and then promptly forgot about it when the program was over, except for the acting. So,
Larry Niven wrote 3 episodes of Land of the Lost.
That's what I thought.
The Circle, Hurricane, and Downstream.
He also did one of the newer, well, not newer nowadays, but newer back then, the second version of Twilight Zone, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
Was Inconstant Moon was the name of the actual episode, and the dad from Family Ties was the hero of that, and I forget who the
Michael.
Yep, I forget who the lady he was sweet on in the story. I forget who played her, but it was somebody equally as talented. Actually, it's very, very good. Now, word has it they are trying to do an adaptation of Ringworld, and I don't know if they're going to go for full animation or if it's going to be live action with CGI or what. But it's been in development hell for a long time, so we don't have the slightest idea whether or not it's ever going to hit the screen. It would be really nice. There's a lot of fan animation going on about the actual the orbital dynamics of that particular solar system. I mean, good grief. It's a hell of a concept and a fun book. And actually, it's 3-4 books now. I forget. But they're an awful lot of fun. Larry doesn't mind going back and when somebody points out a mistake, using it in a sequel to try and come up with a way to correct it.
Last Saturday, when I took my niece to go see the Peter Rabbit movie, which was cute, and it, you know, all your wife would like it, Dan, because everything was in England and all British actors, and I think Colburn, what's his James? Trying to think, he does the Late Late Show. Short, kind of chubby British guy. Corden, yeah. I think he was the voice of Peter Rabbit. But anyway, I digress. We were watching the trailers prior to the movie starting, and I finally saw the trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife, and that actually looks good. It kind of would put you in mind of a cross between the Ghostbusters story and Stranger Things, and that because of the kids and that. So we're kind of. I think it's going to be a Christmas movie, maybe in November, but I've done confirmed another movie date with my niece to go see it whenever it does come out. Definitely think it'll be a lot better than the other rebirth that they tried to do with it.
We're being called upon to be the group mind here. Speaking of books, any suggestions on CIA or the Cold War? Funny you should ask. I'm trying to write one about a fellow that used to. He got accidentally drafted into being a pilot of spy planes back during the Cold War, and then he was good at that, and turned out to be accidentally good at being on the ground. I swear I'm going to finish it one of these days. I'm just trying to get back into it because I ran into a snag and I had to back away from it for a little bit so that I could think further about what I was going to do with it. But there are all kinds of folks that are doing things like that. Here we go. We got conversation going on in the comments. That's what I like to see. We can go ahead and keep on freewheeling about anything, and they'll entertain themselves, and that's just fine because I don't know how to answer their questions, and anything I could just make up on the fly would probably be just a little bit more fictional than what they're interested in. So
always promote, Glenn. Always promote.
Oh Lord, yes. Oh, I've got the book cover. It seems like I always hate to do that. It seems like I'm intruding on everybody.
Put it up there.
Oh, let me see here.
Push the button, Max.
Well, that's the one that's out now, and the Cold War report is the prequel to this, and this is the Cold War spy who has retired and become a roadie for a band in Athens, Georgia, has a fender bender one dark night with a flying saucer that's parked across a back road over near Kenny Rogers' house in Colbert. And it gets stranger from there. It's just one of those things. And I enjoyed writing it. I wrote it like 20 years ago. It's been re-edited and reworked, and as all that was going on, I dreamed up the prequel with that will be a collection of short stories. They'll all be interconnected, but and all have the same main character, but it basically that tells you how he got from running away from a farm in Kentucky to enlist in the army for the Korean War, and winds up a Sabre jet pilot, and then winds up being a what was the precursor to the SR-71?
U2.
No, the one that was
The A12.
A12. Yeah, he flew A12s. He never flew U2. Well, he flew a U2 one time to deliver it in one of my stories, but he wasn't a regular U2 pilot. But he was a regular A12 pilot. He never actually flew the Blackbird, and after that, they kind of put him on the ground and let him play with the other spies, and that's an awful lot of fun. I really need to finish it. I've got 2 more stories left to go, and both of them are already started. I just have to plow through the middle and get to a logical end on both of them, and that'll be ready to send off to the publisher. Well, enough about me. It's supposed to be about having fun, not trying to get people to buy my book.
Liar. No,
this program is not for me to self
Buy the
promote,
book.
even though I do. Even though Brian K. Morris is trying to tell us to always promote. I don't ever
find his books on Amazon. All you got to do is type in the name Dan L. Hollifield, author, and all his books suddenly start popping up.
Yeah, they do, and too bad the albums aren't there anymore. Create Space has shut down, so you can no longer buy my first 3 music CDs. So not in physical form. You can get them from my Bandcamp, which is Dan Hall Bandcamp or danhollifield.bandcamp.com or something like that. I don't care. And I've done an awful lot since those first 3. Let me tell you. And I keep looking down at the cat. I roll the chair back. I'm not going to catch a cat in the wheels here.
Oh, you'll know if you do.
Oh, I know if I do, but I will feel real bad afterwards. And I'm trying to remain situationally aware enough to where I don't do that. And that's a long set of words there for an old farm boy. Situationally aware. I tried getting an edumacation, but I kind of failed. Anyway, I would hate for John to read some of the spy story stuff, because actually having been in the military, he will be able to point out all kinds of mistakes.
Oh, I don't know anything about it. Wasn't like I wasn't stationed in Berlin twice.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know anything about spy stuff.
Oh, I in one of the stories I do have.
I could tell you for certain that the Aeroflot Airlines office on the Kurfürstendamm in downtown Berlin was not actually a place where Soviet spies went to get money and drop off information. Absolutely wasn't.
Yeah. Well, one of the stories in the new book actually has him trying to get out of Berlin. And it just so happens that they had captured a Widowmaker, the one from High Flight. Damn it! Why do I do this? Aphasia. What is the name of the plane? F-104 Starfighter. Yep. So he goes to the airfield and manages to get aboard this captured starfighter and fly it to France with some opposition, I will say. And I had a lot of fun with the parts of getting him to the airport and through the airport and through the guards, but I'm afraid my view of the Starfighter was greatly colored by a Hawkwind album. It was basically a Robert Calvert album with Hawkwind playing all the musical instruments, but it was like the soundtrack of a war movie that never got made. And it was all about how crash prone the Germans starfighters were. So I don't know if that is actual history or just a good story. If it is actual history, they
The Germans had a lot of problems. Turkish did too. Don't know why. But.
Well, it all comes out in the album, and I mean somebody made a deal behind the scenes, and some of the stuff was done on the cheap. So that's what that story is, but it doesn't. I've always been a Hawkwind fan, so I listened to that album over and over again, and it kind of just got ingrained in my memory. And it actually is. You can listen to it on YouTube, along with a bunch of other stuff that has nothing to do with starfighters or anything else like that. But they do an awful lot of science fiction and literary influenced lyrics to their songs. Oh, we got. I'm away from the comments now. There we go. Yeah. Oh. Well, yes, of course we're interested in. It's I'll have to look that up. I really will. Thank you, Glenn. I don't know. I don't know. It would be the right time period before they fired him, I do believe. But then again, it could have been right afterwards. And Lemmy was starting up Motorhead about the time, so I'm not sure. But that's an excellent question, Chris. Thank you. Apparently, I know more than I think I did. I remember a lot of details. There is a nice biography of the band out there available. You can see performances that you will remember the rest of your life, and Stacia is probably a good part of that reason. So she was a interpretive dancer that just spontaneously joined the band. They didn't hire her at first. She just kind of, one day they were doing a concert, she got up and started dancing in front of the band, and they go, "Oh, well, audience likes it. Let's slip her a couple of bucks and let's see if she'll stick around for a while." And she was with them for a long, long time. Boy, topic drift. Isn't this a thing? We started off talking about coyotes, and then we go to spy planes and Lord knows what else. Wild Kingdom. What was the one that Marty Stouffer did? Was that Wild America or something like that?
I think that was Wild America.
I always wondered if he was connected to the frozen food family, the company that does the frozen foods, because there was a really good budget for that show. Don't know. Never knew. Mr. Google, please, if you're interested in that sort of thing. Oh. Now, what obscure direction shall we wander into next, gentlemen? The hills are alive with the sound of speculation.
Coyotes from the CII. That play Motorhead music.
Marty Stouffer did Wild America. Now I was trying to find. That's pretty much all they ever did.
Well, he really had that Grizzly Adams feel to him.
You think?
Yeah, really. Why was he in that?
I'm not saying.
I don't know. Oh, here's a tangent. I just heard there was a new animated Godzilla on Netflix, and it's actually supposed to be good. Unlike the previous 3 animated Godzillas, which I tried to watch, but they were mostly some guy just screaming at Godzilla in the distance and cussing him out. And I'm going, is there a plot somewhere? Outrage is fine, but
There was a time when I was a little kid that I watched Godzilla movies to see Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Then you watch Godzilla movies to see all the other monsters.
Right.
Then you watch the Godzilla movies to see the neat little super space planes and stuff that they go out and try to shoot Godzilla with.
Yep.
So, and apparently now I'm at that age where all the Godzilla movies are going to be about family problems and how they've been battling. The father and the mother and the kid have been battling Godzilla their entire life.
Or they've been battling each other their entire life, and
Godzilla got in the way.
And Godzilla comes along and gives them something else to think about for a change instead of being so self-centered. Yeah, there's been an entire shift in the storytelling style of movies like that. When all you really wanted to see was Godzilla stomping some city flat and hear the roar and see him live on to come and terrorize Japan another day. But I was amazed when the first time that I saw Rodan, it was actually a love story. Not only between the 2 main human characters, but between the 2 Rodan. And I was really, really young when I came to that conclusion. I don't know what other people's age was when they figured that one out, but it was kind of an eye-opener for me.
Well, you didn't like Son of Godzilla, watching him blowing the smoke rings out?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was cute as all get out. I thought the backstory that they wrote to put that footage in was kind of goofy, but might have been, and they reused it in a couple of different things. All the compilation things where they got all the monsters together. After you had seen enough Toho movies, you could tell when footage was being reused.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
in the 1978 Godzilla Saturday morning cartoon, they kind of resurrected the Son of Godzilla character there, and they called him Godzuki, and he was kind of the supposed to be the funny character,
the comedy relief. Yeah, I remember
comedy
that.
relief. Yeah,
I remember that. I was actually I was fonder of the one that they did after the the American Godzilla movie, the Matthew Broderick one. The animated series they did after that was really excellently done. Especially the second season when they brought in the destroy all monsters sort of vibe to it.
My favorite one was the shortest one ever, Godzilla versus Bambi.
Bambi, yep. Bambi meets Godzilla. Yep, I remember that one from college.
Using the final note of A Day in the Life after when he stomps him, and then that's what you hear.
Oh, did you ever see Hardware Wars? Oh, John has. that was one of the better Star Wars parodies that came out when we didn't know there was ever going to be a second Star Wars movie. Nobody knew. Even George Lucas didn't know. But that was a fun little short to see in the theater. Let me tell you.
There were several I was posted in the Good Times with Dan group that it was pretty much like you said, right after the first Star Wars, before the second, and they come out with whatever. And they were total rip-off movies, obviously, and badly done rip-off movies, but around the 78, 79.
You're talking about the Italian ones, aren't you?
I know the names if I heard them, and I can't. There was actually only one of them that was watchable, but I posted them in there because it's like, hey, you need a good laugh, just for the campiness of it.
Star Crash was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. There was several. There was several. About. Okay. I'm having free association here. I don't know where these memories are coming from, but they're all mine. They're during the original series Star Trek era. Somebody got Michael Rennie to do a time travel movie, just a science fiction movie, and used a lot of the same sort of sets, the same sort of characters, stunt actors, and things like that were used in Star Trek. And I don't even know if it was a Daisy Lou production or not, but it could have been. And for the life of me, I can't remember the title, except that cyborg was one word in the title, and I think there was a date involved. But and Michael Rennie he will work with whatever script you give him. And he did a great job with what he had to work with, but he did not have a lot to work with. But the special effects were definitely 1960s television. So if you can ever figure out which one it is I'm talking about, and you decide to give it a shot, it's good for a couple of hours there of
Well, he was in the Invaders, wasn't he?
Michael Rennie.
Yeah, wasn't he in the Invaders?
I don't know. Day the Year Stood Still was the biggest thing that in the sci-fi vein that he'd been in, and I don't know of. He might have been in the Invaders, which was a Quinn Martin production.
Right.
I do remember that. Of course, I remember the ones from the Star. Dan, remember what you're trying to talk about here. The Lost in Space family of shows.
Michael Rennie was in the Invaders.
He was.
He played Alquist.
Okay.
Suzanne Plachette and Dabney Coleman was in it. I did not realize that.
A few months ago, I was trolling through YouTube for cheesy sci-fi movies from the 50s and
Lost
60s.
in Space was an Irwin Allen production.
Irwin Allen, thank you. That was the name I was trying to remember. Land of the Giants, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Time Tunnel, Lost in Space. He did the big disaster movies, Towering Inferno, airport, things like that. Did he do Poseidon Adventure as well? I'm not sure. Could be. It was in the same style. If he didn't do it, then it was somebody who thought he was a good person to emulate.
But also, Michael Rennie was in The Third Man, which was a radio show originally, and I believe that was Orson Welles' little project.
Could have been. Oh, he was also he did a couple of episodes of the '66 Batman as the Sandman, I do believe. Of course, that particular villain got passed around between 2 or 3 different actors, which happens sometimes in that show. We got a perfectly good script for this villain. Can't sign the actor we got to do it last time. Let's throw somebody else in there and see what happens. That was the show that Hollywood was all scampering about trying to get to be the special guest villain of the weekend. They tried to get everybody, and everybody was willing to get in there. Oh, so many memories.
Trying to find your the show you was talking about, the time travel show that he was in, but I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, it was whatever the title of it was. It had Cyborg and a date, and I can't remember what it was. Evidently, Michael Rennie's character was they had invented some form of artificial telepathy where it was possible for someone to control an entire population of people, and they would be the workforce for the wealthy elite or something like that. And somehow or another, he had broken free of the control with some other folks and time traveled back to when that particular artificial telepathy development had originated, and was trying to undo it to free all the slaves and make it never happen. Oh, that's
I'm going to call it a night.
So, all right.
I will yell at y'all Saturday.
All right. Hopefully we will have more than just free-floating memory association here.
I have to get Kramer on the show.
Yeah.
Where was he tonight anyway?
Don't know. Either working or not feeling well.
Or wrestling.
Yep.
I knew he was not feeling well Saturday night.
Well, he had a very unfortunate experience at work, which was more environmental than a personality clash or anything like that. And I thought seriously he was going to start looking for a different job because
hey, they're out there. Everybody's hiring right now. So
yep,
especially drivers.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are even paying better. They learned their lesson.
Yep.
Well, I'll see y'all Saturday. Bye.
All right. Good night, John. Yeah. King Tut.
Not long for this world either, but I can hang around for a little bit.
No problem. Victor Bono, King Tut. Yeah. He was a sympathetic villain because he was only a bad guy if somebody hit him in the head and gave him amnesia.
Yep. When he came back around, he was. I found that the way they treated that role pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, they really tried to do that with Catwoman with Julie Newmar time or two, but and of course, continuously playing up the love interest between her and Batman. But
yeah,
and I always loved they were talking about it, and it was brought up. It said, but what are we going to do about Robin if we're together? Let's kill him.
yeah. If she'd have just said, "Oh well, I've got this henchwoman over here. They're about the same age. Let's set them up."
Leslie Gore was
Yep.
the girl. Was yeah, I remember that. But yeah, that couldn't have been written any better. Because it's like you see the human side of Catwoman and how she's in love with Batman and she's willing to reform and all that, and then but what about Robin? Let's kill him. And it's like, yeah, once
Yep.
Catwoman, always Catwoman.
Yep. Willing to reform as long as you don't have to actually reform. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Well,
she was. Go ahead.
oh no. I'm just going. We've had a good hour here. If you're ready to
Yeah.
head off too.
Yeah. Have things to do tomorrow, and of course
Here we
tomorrow is
go.
auction day.
Here we go. Someone found the answer for us.
Oh,
Cyborg
wow.
2087.
Thank you, Glenn.
Yes, thank you indeed. Oh, thank you, Josh.
Thanks for coming, Josh.
And hopefully Saturday. Well, I can't. We don't have a script for this. We just talk about whatever comes in our head, and you get to see the kind of scattershot brain that I've got going off into different tangents, and everybody else knows something about whatever I talk about, and usually much more than I do. And it can be fun and it can be frustrating, but
well, we could always get Josh on camera here with us and get talking, and then when it goes off sidetrack, we'll just blame him.
Well, or anybody else, yeah.
Yeah. No.
It happens. But in between you and Nick Talkert and Blaine, we just there are a few people that are insomniacs like myself, and just sometimes the discussions can go on into the wee hours in the morning, which I know you know firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
Last time you and I were really on a roll, it went on till 3 or 4 in the morning, and neither one of us could shut up. So that's a fun night.
Was that
Not
the
this night has been
with Anna?
No. We've had a couple. We've had a couple since then like that, where it winds up you and me trying to figure out all the different references of things that come to mind for either one of us.
And ironically, I'm not an insomniac. I'm usually, well, it's usually about this time is my bedtime, and that because 7 o'clock does come early, and that for some of us, and that, and I have always been a morning person, just simply because of 20 some odd years working the same thing. But I enjoy coming on here and on Joe's show and any show that they'll let me get on. The green room with Carl and Donna and that.
Well,
so I make the extra effort to heavily caffeinate myself, and then afterwards I'll take a Dimetap nap.
Well, we all love to have you. I mean,
Thank you.
I truly enjoy your daily sketches that you post, or all the classic cartoons and everything that you You do. Now, I was particularly impressed the other day with the one of you at your desk drawing something. That was so cute. That was just absolutely spot on.
I've done a couple of them. Usually there's some sort of humor attached to it or whatever, but I, you know, I see all the other cartoonists and do animated versions of themselves. You know, I got a lot of cartoonist friend. Well, here Dave Riddick, who does Blondie comic strip, and that, you know, he's always doing this or that, or you know, and a bunch of the other ones, you know. But and I thought, well, I guess I better get myself in gear and do one of me at some point. But no, I did that. I was working on a commission that took me a little longer than what I thought because of personal situations going on with my sister-in-law and stuff and that. And so now I finally finished that yesterday and got it off to the people, and they actually had it framed and matted. And it's a the only reason why it hasn't been shown on my page or anything yet, it's going to be a surprise gift to the person's niece. And once she gives it to her, then she's going to take a picture of it, and she said she would tag me in it. And I said, that's all I ask, you know. And I said, I'll advertise it, you know, on that. So now I have no excuse not to start drawing some new pictures again.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I mean, I've been showing a lot of the old ones because I have so many of them, and I know to some people it's probably like looking at new ones because, you know, but anyway, but yeah, now I don't have much of an excuse, so you know, but I'll get on that again too. But thank you though for the compliment and that, and but anyway, I will go ahead and say, and like I told you, Saturday, because we're going up to Chicago again, hope to make it back in time for Stupid O'Clock and your show and that, just depending on when we leave there. We generally have pretty good luck with traffic, but you never know. With it being 4th of July weekend, that might be a different story this time around.
This is true. This is true. You be careful.
Yeah,
we want you coming back in one piece.
Or at least two. You know, I'll duct tape it together, you know. Anyway.
I don't think duct tape's good enough for that job.
Red Green said handyman secret weapon.
Oh, well, I have done that. I've got a few scars here that got duct taped up at work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, well, you have a good evening, and that, and Josh and Glenn and everybody else out there that's been, Chris Walker and all of them that's been chiming in. I've been enjoying all their posts.
Oh, yeah.
There.
Yeah. I'm just glad to see anybody watching us at all.
Well,
I mean, Stupid O'Clock is a natural because there's so many personalities there with so many things to say. But when it gets to the after show, it is late enough for people to start drifting away. So it comes down sometimes to just 2 or 3 people. And one of these days, it might come down to just me, and I'm going to go, I'm not going to monologue for 2 hours. Let me get out a book and I'll read to you.
Well, I post them, I share them on my artwork page and on my regular Facebook page. So you never know who might get out there then, you know.
That's true. That's true.
But, well, you have a good evening.
You have a good night too.
And have a good Independence Day weekend as well.
Well, thank you very much. I intend to try, although we won't be having any fireworks because we don't want to frighten the dogs. So might
Yeah,
have a cookout. I don't know. Depends on the weather. We'll
that's
see.
good too. That's always good. So,
Well,
oh,
good night, Bill.
good night.
And I guess rather than me pick up a book and start reading to y'all, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night myself. Are you sure that you lost, Glenn? Or perhaps you tricked us into winning? Uh, Good night, Chris. And, well, I appreciate y'all for watching. I appreciate everybody for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and roll the end credits and call it a night. Now, like I said, I really do appreciate y'all showing up and listening to us blather, especially me, because I do go on. But it's been a lot of fun. It always is a lot of fun. Let's just keep it that way. And y'all have a good night and have a good life. See you later.